Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to provide a diplomatic briefing on the just concluded SCO summit in New Delhi. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization's, the heads of states and heads of governments summit was held virtually under the presidency of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India on July 4th. So today I'm going to provide you with some brief summary of what happened and the analysis and a bit of analysis of what I saw are the developments and important things coming out of this summit. First of all, I also want to explain to some of you who have been writing to me and saying why I'm producing lesser videos and not posting many of them. It's primarily because I'm involved this summer as the academic director of the State Department's Study of U.S. Institutes, the American Foreign Policy Program, which is very intense, runs for about 7 weeks. We have scholars from 16 countries and we travel in various parts of the countries, but we have many lectures every day, simulations, war games, etc. So I've been very busy with that, and hopefully, inshallah, in August, we will come back to regular programming. But I do not want to miss out on some important events. One of them is the SCO Summit. SCO is a very important organization. It is the only non-Western organization which is of any significance at all. And so all the countries that are really involved is just 8 countries, and now Iran has become a member. The 9 countries that are members of SCO include the 4 Stan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. And then Pakistan, India, Russia, and China. Iran this year has become a full member of SCO, and probably next year Belarus will become part of it. So there will be 10 full members. It's quite possible that the 11th member might be Afghanistan, because one of the concerns of the core of SCO, which is Central Asia, is stability in Afghanistan and the danger of extremist groups from Central Asia finding a foothold in Afghanistan and operating. So before I get into the summit's details, please do the needful, subscribe to Khanversations, ring the bell icon, like the video, and later on do share it with your friends and your social network. So the first issue that we needed to tackle was that India had in a way downgraded the SCO summit, which would have been a 2-day summit in person, and probably Xi Jinping as well as Vladimir Putin would have traveled to New Delhi. We don't know. It is quite possible that they may have indicated privately that they may not travel to Delhi, and so Delhi decided to do this virtually. Anyway, so I'm going to talk primarily about the 3 major powers and their speeches. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin. One of the things that jumped out to me was, at least in the speeches of the heads of state, there doesn't seem to be a common agenda. They all seem to be pursuing their own national interest, and they're not talking as much about what SCO is going to do or what SCO stands for, as much as they were trying to share their own vision of the world and their own country, etc. Prime Minister Modi, in his speech, raised several issues. He talked about the importance of connectivity, the importance of digital innovation and technology sharing. He also talked about cross-border terrorism and insisted that countries and members of SCO should not hesitate to call out member countries, meaning Pakistan, whose state policy includes using terrorism as a tool. So that was an important point he made. Prime Minister Modi also offered a multilingual AI-based platform called Bhashini, which he thought could be very helpful to the countries in the region. And he also welcomed Iran as a new member and essentially talked about the significance of the Chabahar port and its and the North-South corridor, transportation corridor, and essentially emphasized the importance of connectivity as a key issue for countries in SCO. And then Xi Jinping was interesting. He quoted Rabindranath Tagore in his talk in order to basically say that it's time that the world is changing significantly, and it was important for us, for the countries of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, to face these challenges. And in order to do that, he quoted Rabindranath Tagore. He did make some interesting points. He did criticize the West and implied that the West was trying to initiate a Cold War-like atmosphere, creating camp-based politics, that is, democratic camp and the authoritarian camp. And he hoped that the countries in the region would reject that. He also talked about the potential instigation of color revolutions in post-Soviet states and rejected that. He talked about implementing some of the ideas that are coming from Beijing, such as the Global Security Initiative and the Global Development Initiative, and he talked about the importance of that. He also talked about bullying in international relations and talked about creating a multipolar and democratic order to resist bullying, clearly implying the hegemonic and high-handed approach of the United States. So Xi Jinping did not miss this opportunity to criticize the United States and its pressures that the US is putting on both Russia and China, even though he didn't mention Russia. And of course, he pitched again and talked about the importance of the Belt and Road Initiative and its contributions. Said this is the 10th anniversary of Belt and Road Initiative, and that he was going to host another event to once again reinvigorate the Belt and Road Initiative. Vladimir Putin, who was speaking for the first time at an international forum since the attempted coup or rebellion by the Wagner Group, essentially emphasized that he basically made 2 or 3 points. He said that Russia was united behind him, that threats such as rebellion, etc., have been squashed. But he also tried to make the point that international sanctions have had the opposite effect. Rather than undermining and weakening Russia, they are strengthening Russia. He pointed to over $250 or $260 billion of trade with SCO countries, which is basically India and China, essentially buying oil on discount from Russia, but the amount is over $250 billion. So basically, he was trying to convey the message that Russia is strong, he is strong, Russia's trade is strong, and the Western attempts to isolate Russia have more or less failed. So these were the 3 prominent speakers there who gave these speeches. But there are a few points I wanted to make. One of the things is that the Prime Minister of India tried to introduce 5 new areas of cooperation in which he talked about the shared Buddhist heritage of SCO countries, and I was a bit perplexed. In India, the Buddhist population today is less than 1%, as it is in most of the Central Asian countries. The population of Buddhists in China are significant, about 18 to 20%, which is close to 250 million people. The religion and religious heritage, which is most common to all these countries of SCO, is really Islam. 6 out of the 9 full members, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Iran, and Pakistan, are Muslim majority countries, significantly huge Muslim majorities. Russia has about 20 million Muslims, China has 30 million Muslims, and India has over 200 million Muslims. So the most common religious heritage to SCO is Islam and not Buddhism. And given the fact that India has the 2nd largest Muslim population in the SCO, the Prime Minister Modi could have leveraged India's Islamic heritage as a way to even bring India in a soft power sense closer to Central Asia countries. But nevertheless, the things that was interesting, at least from the Western media point of view, was the Western media did cover both Xi Jinping's and Putin's speeches far more than any other speeches. They took note of the fact that Xi Jinping used this forum to promote the Belt and Road Initiative and also criticize American hegemony. And of course, a lot of attention was paid to what Putin was saying, and especially his comments about how unified Russia is and how it continues to grow in spite of sanctions. But a couple of things have not been discussed at all, which is quite surprising. Number one, no discussion of the Ukraine war, really, and its sanctions and its impact on the global south or the rest of the world. There was no discussion of the Indo-Pacific strategy of the United States, the fact that India is getting so much closer. The SCO countries did not talk about it, at least the top three countries did not really focus on the Indo-Pacific strategy. And while they did talk about having an international system which is democratic, especially the Delhi Declaration does use that word, they did not talk much about the democracy camp versus the authoritarian camp, given that most of the countries in the SCO are authoritarian countries, except for India. There was not much discussion on that. And then one more issue that I would like to discuss is the Delhi Declaration, which was signed by all countries except for one point where India abstained or disagreed. It was interesting to me that when I read the full transcript of Xi Jinping's speech, Modi's speech, Putin's speech, I also saw Modi's speech in Hindi. And then when I read the Delhi Declaration of the SCO, I was surprised as to how heavily it was dominated by the issues that Xi Jinping raised, including the Belt and Road Initiative. So some of the things that India raised were not visible in that. I know people in India are going to go crazy mad for me for saying this, but go and take a look. Take a look at Xi Jinping's speech, take a look at Modi's speech, take a look at Putin's speech, and then look at the Delhi Declaration. So the Delhi Declaration does talk about the aspiration of SCO that the world become a multipolar world in which all countries, including India and China, are on the same page, but it rejects bloc politics. As Xi Jinping says, it rejects interference in the external affairs of countries. As Xi Jinping said in his speech, it also talks about how all countries except India, it actually names the four stands, Iran, Pakistan, Russia, as supporting the Belt and Road Initiative of China. So it just leaves out India's name. And of course, all countries agree upon the criticality of stability in Afghanistan and reduction of extremist and terrorist threats emanating of Afghanistan. And all of that, India spoke about it. Modi spoke about it, and so did Xi Jinping and other leaders from Central Asia. So it was an interesting summit. Last year, we talked about how India's presidency of SCO as well as G20 would elevate India's status, and that remains to be seen. I will be talking to Ambassador Ketan Shukla in Hindi about it, and we'll listen to his assessment of what India has achieved. And I think that the summit, the virtual summit, did to some extent downgrade SCO, but the fact that more and more countries are interested in joining SCO, including Turkey, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia has also expressed interest. Belarus is probably going to become a member next year. So it's possible that SCO will continue to grow. The question remains, will India remain a part of SCO? The proxies for India are suggesting that India will remain in SCO to prevent China from fully dominating Central Asia. So one way by which India can prevent Central Asia's domination by China is by remaining in the SCO, and otherwise the connectivity between India and Central Asian nations would disappear. So in that regards, for those of you who are interested in India's relations with Central Asia, you can also see my conversation with Professor Zani Bek from Kazakhstan, and he talked about how various powers of the world are trying to engage with Central Asia, especially with Kazakhstan. So I hope you found this brief discussion of the SCO summit interesting, thought-provoking, and so please subscribe to Khanversations, like the video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your friends and your social network. Until next time, this is Muqtedar Khan, your host. Be nice, be happy, be safe.